Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and oh boy, here we go again. The Hall of Fame finalists again. Once again, it never ceases to amaze me how biased the Hall of Fame voters are. I'm just gonna say it right now. Every year, I look. I'm not saying that certain people aren't deserving to get in. Because obviously they work their tail off, their entire career to get this recognition and whatnot. I'm completely fine with that. My issue is based on how certain people get in versus other people getting in, or if there's a bias towards a specific person versus another person. And where am I getting at with this? Well, we're going to get to it in a second, and it is going to be talking about specific players right now, and that is one Eli Manning. And you also probably notice another quarterback on here, which is Jim Plunkett. And we're going to get to that into a second. But I want to basically bring up the candidates. Now, some of these candidates doesn't surprise me. I see Gates on there. I see Evans. I see Anderson. I know they've been trying for a while. Allen, both Allens. Great defensive players. Luke Kuechly, another good one, who retired, unfortunately, much sooner than probably we would have liked. Torrey Hulk I think he's been up for a while. Steve Smith, I think this is his first year of eligibility. Actually, I think he's been a couple of years now. I don't know. I don't remember. Suggs, I believe it's Suggs' first year, though. I think this is Adam Vinatieri's first year. I'm not. I actually. Hold on. Let me just make sure, because I don't know who's the first ballot or who's not. Who's up for first? There's only one person who I know right now is the first ballot. Is on a first ballot for these final 15s. Also, keep in mind this isn't for the senior candidates either. I'm just going based off of the 15 modern candidates that they have up here right now. I just want to make sure who is first ballot and who's not. Or who's up for first ballot. Oh, that doesn't tell me shit. All right, well, I can't find who's like, it's not telling me who was up for first ballot or who isn't. Some of these guys have to not have been because some of these guys are way before the 4 years. Okay, so I know for sure Kuechly and Eli are first ballots because it's 2019 they retired in. Adam Vinatieri, this first year of eligibility. Okay, so there's only 3 people. Oh, okay. All right, so there's 4. We got 4 people that are first ballots, or that are our first year people that are up on their 15 right now. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure of that. So out of the 15, there's 4 people right now that are, this is the first time at it. Here's the problem. out of all these guys, the one person who doesn't deserve to be in this Hall of Fame class and doesn't even deserve to be in this final 15 is Eli Manning. And I know, being a Packers fan, I'm going to be called out as being biased because obviously Eli took 2 Super Bowls for my team. But I'm going to just say this right now. That has nothing to do with this, whether people want to believe that or not. Okay, so I'm making the comparison, Jim Plunkett, Eli Manning. And why am I making this comparison? Because Eli Manning is the modern day Jim Plunkett. Okay, Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls, just like Eli Manning. If you add inflation to Jim Plunkett's stats to today's game, his numbers probably would be the same as Eli's. Okay, because obviously in Plunkett's era, you didn't pass the ball as much as you do now, or even, when Eli was still playing in 2019, okay, up until 2019. So passing had exploded in Eli Manning's era. In Jim Plunkett's era in the 70s and then, the 80s, because that's when he played in, that's the era he played in, passing wasn't a big significance as it is now. So, and I wanted to bring this up. So, we're just going to show you guys this right now. I wanted to bring this one up right now. Okay, so now this is the career stats of Eli Manning. Okay. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He had 4 Pro Bowls. I don't really give a shit about Pro Bowls, though. I mean, Pro Bowls are not even that significant anymore, since they just play flag football or whatever the frig they do now for that stupid Pro Bowl game, which is useless, and they should just cancel it now because unless you're going to play real Pro Bowl games and tackle football, then you might as well just get rid of it. But anyways, this is his career regular season stats. Now, again, this is for modern day football. This is with the passing rules basically being what they are, where they can basically do whatever they want in passing the ball because the defenses can't hit to the head and all that crap like that. All right. So this is Jim Plunkett's numbers. Again, 2 Super Bowls, 1 Super Bowl MVP. Again, Eli played 16 years. Jim Plunkett played 15, so 1 less year. Okay, this is Plunkett's. This is Plunkett's stats, okay? Like I said, if you use inflation to the way Eli passed the ball in his era compared to the rules that were restricting Jim Plunkett from being able to pass the ball as many times as Eli passed the ball, he probably gets the same amount of numbers. He had 164 touchdown passes. He had 198 interceptions, so he had more interceptions than touchdown passes. But again, different era. But if you look at, Eli's stats, he had 366 touchdown passes. He had 244 interceptions, still below the interception average here. Obviously he still has, more touchdown passes, but when you look at it from the standpoint of the passing league of his era, interceptions are easier to come by in Jim Plunkett's era because in the 70s, there was no Jim Plunkett, there was no Mel Blount rule, okay, where you can jam a receiver within a 5-yard rule, okay, within a 5-yard radius. That was outlawed in 1978 because prior to that you could just jam them up to the line. But then in 1978 they got rid of that, and that made it easier to not throw interceptions, because then the quarterback could just lay up the ball and pass it, and that's why the passing league ultimately exploded, along with other rules that came after that. But so you can attribute to that why he has more interceptions than touchdown passes. But again, two Super Bowls, two NFL championships, just like Eli Manning. He had one Super Bowl MVP. And then you look at the career playoffs, because that's really the thing that a lot of people use for Eli Manning, is that, oh, well, Eli Manning, he, look what he did in the playoffs. He stepped up. He stepped up in the playoffs, right? If you look at his percentage, he had 18 touchdown passes. He had 9 interceptions. Okay. Jim Plunkett had 11 touchdown passes and 12. It's, and again, we have to contribute it to inflation here, because again, the career stats are much different in the 1980s comparing to the 2000s. Okay. It's not that far away from where Eli is, okay, in terms of where he was and where he is. He also had a rushing touchdown, too, if that means anything for you. 27 sacks. 27 sacks. Plus also Eli Manning played in 16 games. Most of Jim Plunkett's career was a 14-game season. Because obviously the season changed to 16 in 76. So the first 5 years that Plunkett played, it was a 14-game season. They're not that far away from percentage passing either. And again, his completion percentage in the regular season can be attributed to, again, the inflation of how the passing game was back then. Again, it's mainly the media. The media really wants to make Eli Manning a goddamn Hall of Famer because he's a nice guy and he won 2 Super Bowls. That just mind boggles me. Again, now Philip Rivers, here's another guy I want to compare to. There we go. Okay, here's another guy. Obviously, Philip Rivers played in Eli Manning's, he played in Eli Manning's era. He also, now again, for people that are wondering why Philip Rivers is not in the final 15 either, that's because he's not technically eligible. Because Philip Rivers played an extra season. His final season was in 2020. Eli Manning's final season was in 2019. So that's why Eli is eligible and Philip Rivers is not. But I will say, if Eli Manning does get into the Hall of Fame this year, I am damn well expecting Philip Rivers to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? So we look at his stats, okay? Look at Philip Rivers' stats. 421 touchdown passes, 209 interceptions. So if we compare Eli Manning, he had 366, right? He had 366 touchdown passes to 244 interceptions. And keep in mind, Eli Manning was never considered top 5 quarterback in the entire league, his entire career. And that is a fact. He was never considered a top 5 quarterback. Okay, despite winning 2 Super Bowls. Okay, I don't know why I have this open, but yeah, it's Philip Rivers. But this is all I need right here. You look at this right here. It's no goddamn comparison. He had better completion percentage than Eli. Um, he actually did better in the playoff stats. And of course, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but compared to Eli, but he still did better. And also, and I know a lot of people don't want to bring this up, but a lot of the reasons why Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls is not because of him, but it's because of his defensive line. Okay, he had Michael Strahan, Umayura. He had a bunch of those guys that were doing a lot of the setups for him to make those big plays. Um, and that's another thing that's forgotten about this whole thing. Not saying that Eli didn't attribute to anything, because obviously it's a team sport, but to say that Eli was like was the guy who beat Tom Brady, no, he really wasn't. The defense beat Tom Brady. They're the ones who set Eli up to win the game. Now, he had 2 miracle throws to David Tyree, I think it was Mario Manningham. He had 2 receivers who made 2 elite catches that set up the winning scores for the Giants to win those Super Bowls. But again, there was more than just that in the games. But that's all that people seem to remember about those Super Bowls. They don't seem to remember like what led to Eli being able to make those Cinderella catches or Cinderella throws to win those games. They seem to forget about that fact. But yeah, guys, I mean, when I look at this, I look at this as how are you. Here's another thing. Eli Manning is in his first year of eligibility and is already in the top 15, right? Jim Plunkett has never even snuffed the top 15 ever since he's been eligible to get in. Okay, and that was like over 20 years ago. Okay, that Jim Plunkett has been eligible. He's been eligible, I think, since 91 to be in the Hall of Fame. And yet he has never even snuffed the top 15. Yet Eli Manning, in his first year of eligibility, has already made it to the top 15. And possibly will damn well get in, just based on the media and the voters, which is just fucking ridiculous. It's insane that he is considered a Hall of Famer. I mean, you might as well just end the Hall of Fame, because it lowers the bar of the Hall of Fame. It really does. If you put Eli in, then that means any quarterback can get in, really. I mean, realistically. Any quarterback should be eligible to get in that has the same amount of numbers he has. All right? I don't want to hear it anymore. Or better, Donovan should get in. I mean, I know people have been fighting for Donovan for a while to get in. Why can't Donovan get in? He didn't win the Super Bowl. But look at his stats. Why can't Steve? Well, look at his stats for his era. Why can't what was his face? Why can't Steve McNair get in? Why can't Steve McNair? Steve McNair was considered a top 5 quarterback throughout his career. During his prime, he was fucking in the Super Bowl. Didn't win it, but was in a Super Bowl. Won league MVP. Eli Manning never won league MVP. That's why I count more of those, because those awards to me do mean something to getting in, because this is an individual. The Hall of Fame is like an individual accomplishment, okay? Even though it's a team that gets you into the Hall of Fame. So we have to base solely on what they did, not what the team did, okay? Yes, Eli won a Super Bowl, but that was a team accomplishment. Okay, it was a team accomplishment. It wasn't just Eli. Like, a lot of people, like this media, The freaking media will bring up like bullshit arguments that, oh, he gets in because, he won more road games than his brother, in the playoffs, which that doesn't mean shit, by the way. It's an on the field thing. He didn't just win on the road because of him. He won because of his teammates, that made the catches and made the sacks and made this and made that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Eli winning it. Okay? Eli made some fluky ass plays that led to a Super Bowl victory, but that does not mean that he did it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't do it all that won those Super Bowls. And outside of the Super Bowls, he had a very mediocre career. I mean, let's face it. If you take away the Super Bowls, Eli Manning is not even in the conversation of being a Hall of Famer. Like, I mean, let's face it. Let's face it. He's not a top 5 quarterback. He has not been considered a top 5 quarterback amongst his peers. And he has never been considered someone that is like groundbreaking in terms of changing the game, or someone that is considered elite, or someone who is considered all those elements of, when they did the 100-year list, he was nowhere even close into the conversation like his brother was. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. He is not a Hall of Famer. Like, if you have to think, like, I remember one of the top NFL Network top 10s, the guy saying when in the not people that are not in the Hall of Fame, saying that, if I have to think about you being a Hall of Famer, you're probably not a Hall of Famer. Well, if I have to genuinely think about Eli Manning being a Hall of Famer, then why is it a consideration that he's a Hall of Famer? Because it's not for other people. Now, I talked about Mark Gastineau a couple weeks ago that, Brett Favre did nothing wrong to him. It was, Michael Strahan legitimately got that record. Brett Favre didn't take a dive intentionally. Okay. But Mark Gastineau not being in the Hall of Fame drives from the fact that the Hall of Fame voters are biased towards character players. They are. They can deny it all they want. They are. They do not like character guys. The only way a character guy can get in is if they won the Super Bowl or they did something monumental where they're not really in that borderline stat bar for the Hall of Fame, where they can just intentionally reject you. Okay? That's what they did to Terrell Owens for 3 years. Terrell Owens, in any world, should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But of course, obviously, there were a ton of other wide receivers that hadn't got in yet, which was one of the biggest reasons where he was left out. But, to me, you should just, like, if there's 6 wide receivers that should get in, then 6 wide receivers should get in. You know what I'm saying? But that's the problem with the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame committee and the voters, they're biased towards character guys. Look at Jerry Kramer. Look how long Jerry Kramer freaking waited for the damn Hall of Fame. He waited, 4 generations? 4 generations to get in? Somehow, thankfully, he lived long enough to actually speak at his own Hall of Fame speech. But, you get the point. They are biased towards, specific players and positions and character. They say the character never is an issue. Let me run by this to you. If Eli Manning was someone like a T.O., for example, do you honestly think Eli Manning would be a Hall of Famer? or would we be having this discussion about him being a Hall of Fame? No, he would have been rejected. They would have made him wait a few years. They would have made him wait a few years because he's a character, because he was a character guy. That's what they do. If you're a character guy and they know you're a Hall of Famer, they're going to make you wait a few years because that's what they do. That's what they do. Eli Manning is a nice guy that won 2 Super Bowls, so they think, oh, we can just put him in. Even though, literally, when you compare him to Jim Plunkett, who has 2 Super Bowls just like him, it's no contest. He should not be a Hall of Famer. If you put him in the Hall of Fame, then Jim Plunkett's got to be a Hall of Famer. And Jim Plunkett has never even snuffed the top 15. Okay, never once since 1991 has Jim Plunkett snuffed the Hall of Fame in terms of being in the final 15. He's never even made it to the final 15. Okay, and yet somehow we're supposed to believe that Eli Manning can be a Hall of Famer in his first time. This is not even his third chance to get in. This is his first time. Again, his first time. Okay, and do I believe there's a possibility that Eli Manning probably won't get in on his first try? Possibly, because, I mean, he's got steep competition. I think they only do 6 or 5 people from the modern candidate. But I have a really bone feeling that they're going to put Eli in on his first ballot. I just have some... It's going to be the biggest crock of shit that I've seen in a long time when it comes to the Hall of Fame. That he gets in over anybody else. That he gets in over... Who's in? Suggs. I think there were Suggs. Eric Allen. He's not first ballot, but you get Jarrett Allen. You know, he was a force to be reckoned with. Willie Anderson was that's another thing too. The NFL is biased towards tackles, by the way. Again, I'll bring they're biased towards tackles and guards, even though tackles and guards are literally the foundation to why NFL players can even, throw the ball to begin with. Quarterbacks can't throw the ball without guards and tackles. Okay. And the fact that, he had to wait, Jerry Kramer had to wait like 4 generations to get in is ridiculous. And that's probably what they're doing with Willie Anderson as well. Jahi Evans, again, guard, guards are once again biasedly underrepresented because, they're guards. But yeah, Suggs, who I believe Suggs should be in. Fred Taylor, it's going to be hard to put him in, but I think Fred Taylor should be a Hall of Famer, especially since running backs. I mean, the running back position it's much different than it is back then. Running backs are very important now, and they're becoming very rare in this generation because as it gets more passing, featured running backs have kind of dwindled, especially because running backs' lifespan is pretty bad. So Fred Taylor, to me, I know, granted, towards the end of his year, they did have Maurice Jones-Drew, and they did the 2-down back thing. But, for most of the decade that he played, he was the featured back in Jacksonville. So, I would put him in. Yeah, like, I look at this class, Darrell Woodson. I thought Darrell Woodson was already in too. He's a safety. Yeah, he was really good. For the Cowboys, back when the Cowboys actually were good. When Jerry Jones never put his hand in the cookie jar as much as he does now. Yeah, I think he should be in. Reggie Wayne. Yeah, I look at this class like I don't see how Eli gets in on his first ballot, but then again, the fact that he's in this top 15 still pisses me off. Um, oh, and also I just looked at this right now. Mike Holmgren is a finalist as well, which Mike Holmgren should have been in the Hall of Fame a long fucking time ago, by the way. Mike Holmgren did a lot more um, than some of the coaches that are already in the Hall of Fame. He won a Super Bowl. He went to 3 overall. Like, I don't even know how he isn't a Hall of Famer yet. But I really hope Mike Holmgren gets in as a Green Bay Packers fan. Um, but but yeah, looking at this list, I mean, oh yeah, Antonio Gates too. What about Antonio Gates? This is his second year of eligibility. Okay, Antonio Gates should be a Hall of Fame. Why is he not? Oh my God! Like, yeah, like I don't see how Eli gets in on his first, but if he gets in on his first, I mean, it's a crime. It's a fucking crime because it's like, how the hell is he in? And Jim Plunkett never even snuffed the Hall of Fame already. Okay, or snuff like at least the top 15. I mean, this is just insane. And again, it just proves once again the Hall of Fame committee and the people that vote on it are biased towards specific players that they like more than who actually should be in. And I'm not saying they don't always get it right, because there are certain players that do get in right away, or players that have gotten in later on that deserve to get in, you know. But I just don't see it. I mean, and also when you say that you're not, when you put somebody in when you don't put somebody in the Hall of Fame because they ran the wrong way, I have little faith in you as a Hall of Fame voting machine, because that's another player who should be in, Jim Marshall. Jim Marshall, and this is coming from a Packers fan. I mean, I know he's a Vikings fan, or I know he's a Viking. Jim Marshall was a Viking player, but how the hell is Jim Marshall not in the Hall of Fame? Like, he did one play where he ran the wrong way and cost his team 2 points, but then he caused the fumble later in that game that led to the winning score. Like, why is that their reason not to put him in? Like, I looked at his stats too. I'm like, how is that guy not in the Hall of Fame for his era? He should be in the Hall of Fame, man. Like, again, the Hall of Fame just makes no fucking sense when they decide to put people in. They are very biased, and I've been saying it for years, and I'll say it again. They're very biased when they put, again, Holmgren waited years for it. Hopefully he gets in this year. He should have already been in, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I don't think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. It really diminishes the goddamn quarterback position, or not quarterback, but it diminishes the Hall of Fame if they put him in over, other people. And then I'll be looking at next year to see if Philip Rivers gets in or gets into the top 15, and you can just know right there how biased it is if he doesn't get in a 15 when he clearly has better stats than Eli Manning. And I don't want to hear the argument that, oh, well, he didn't win a Super Bowl. Okay, Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, right? Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. Dan Fouts, another Charger legend, he didn't win a Super Bowl. He got in the Hall of Fame. He didn't even win league MVP. So, I mean, if you're going to use that argument, then, I mean, there are multiple quarterbacks that didn't get in, or that did get in that didn't win Super Bowls. So again, that's not a good argument either. So yeah, that's it. Comment, rate, if you like this video, my videos, please subscribe, hit the notification bell for all of these contents. Thank you. Subscribe, all that stuff. And now I'm out. I'm the Sultan Goku moderator. Peace.